Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Resiliency Begins with Self-resiliency. My name is Cynthia Ruiz. I am a Cherokee citizen. I live in Los Angeles, so I'm coming to you all the way from beautiful LA. Now, for me, I start everything with gratitude. So, first of all, I want to express my gratitude to you for making a decision for showing up today, whether you're live with me at the conference or if you're watching this at a later date virtually. Whatever way it is, it's good. But because I live in Los Angeles, I also want to do a land acknowledgement for the first peoples of Los Angeles, the tribes that were the first here in LA, the Tongva and the Gabrielinos. I think it's so important as we are in different parts of the United States to acknowledge the first peoples that were there, just like the Cherokees were in Oklahoma, but we know where originally where we were before the Trail of Tears. So land acknowledgement is so important to me. And I was actually excited this year to see that at the Academy Awards, at the Oscars, they actually did a land acknowledgement. So I just wanted to make sure that I took this opportunity to do a land acknowledgement. So wherever you're at in the United States, be sure to acknowledge the first peoples of the land. So today I am going to be talking about self-resiliency. And I know that not everybody is, they think that it's being selfish or you shouldn't focus on you. But as we go through today's workshop, I am going to share with you why I think that is important. Now we are on Zoom, and the way that you're going to be able to ask questions, and we're going to ask questions at the end, or I may take a break in the middle, you're going to do that through our chat feature. So the chat feature, and I'm blessed to have support today. So through the chat feature, we'll get the questions and we'll be able to answer those, because I want this to be not only, beneficial for you, but I want you to be able to be able to interact with me. So before I get started, I just want to share a little bit about myself. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but today I am a author, a best-selling author. I'm actually on book number 7, which will be coming out next month. I am a professor. I teach leadership at the graduate level. I teach leadership and management at the University of West Los Angeles. I've been teaching for many, many years, and leadership is my area of expertise. I also am blessed to be somebody that I do a lot of motivational speaking. I do a lot of work within the community, and I actually have the honor of serving on the at-large community in Los Angeles, Cherokees of Los Angeles. I've been an active member for several years, but I actually come from a line of activism. My mother, who made her transition a few months ago, was very involved in the Native American community in Los Angeles, and she was the actual liaison from the County of Los Angeles to the Native American community. So I have been around activism within the Native American community here in Los Angeles basically all my life. I also today have the honor and privilege of serving as president of the City of Los Angeles Pension Board, and I oversee 23 billion dollars worth of investment money. So to me, it's a true miracle that, given where I've started from, I was the first person in my family to go to college, to where I am today, I am a living example of resiliency. And I'll talk a little bit later about some of my challenges and my resiliency. But I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about me so you kind of understand who I am and get a little bit of perspective. So this workshop's going to last an hour, and hopefully we're going to have some fun and you're going to learn some information. So let's get started. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, what is resiliency? If we're talking about self-resiliency, what does that even mean? Well, I want to start off with a quote from Wilma Mankiller. And I just have to say, for me, Wilma Mankiller is one of my sheroes. And we all know that a shero is a female hero, right? So she's one of my sheroes. And what she said is that the secret of our success is that we never, never give up. So as Cherokee people, we are resilient people because we don't give up. And so what is resiliency? So resiliency is the ability of a person to be able to adjust or recover from illness, adversity, and major life challenges. And earlier, if you got to see the plenary session, our principal chief, Chuck Hoskins Jr., talked about resiliency. And he talked about the importance of resiliency. And so what he was talking about is the resiliency of our community. So already we know that as Cherokees, we are strong people. So I'm so excited to share some of my wisdom and knowledge with you. I'm certainly not here to say that I know everything, but I have had a lot of experiences. I do have a master's degree in counseling. I had the good fortune of being able to take a leadership class at Harvard University. So all that knowledge that I've received, I really want to share it to help you in your life so you can help your community no matter where you're at in the United States. So I want to talk about how self-care does not mean selfish. I want to talk to the women for a minute, because women, we are givers, right? We tend to give, we're caregivers to our children, to our parents, to our family, our friends, our community. And sometimes we do that at the expense of ourselves. And because we feel like, oh, if we do something for ourselves and we care for ourselves, we're being selfish. And it's really not being selfish. So the analogy that I like to use is that if you've ever done any traveling and got on an airplane, when they're doing the safety briefing on the airplane, what they say is that if we have an emergency and the oxygen mask comes down and you're traveling with a small child, what you do is you put the mask on yourself first, which is pretty much counterintuitive, because what we do is, if we're traveling with a small child, what do you want to do? You want to put the mask on the child first. But guess what? If you don't take care of yourself during that emergency, you're not going to be around to take care of that child. So it's okay to really make a plan about your self-care. It's not being selfish. So self-care does not have to come from a place of ego. Rather, caring for yourself gives you more energy to really help our community and our family and our friends thrive. Now, one of the first things that, one of our principles in our Cherokee values is that everything is done in harmony and balance. So harmony and balance, if you're caring for others, the balance to that is caring for yourself. And if you're only caring for others and not caring for yourself at all, then that is really, you're not going to be healthy, happy, and complete. So again, harmony and balance, care for yourself, and caring for others. Now, if you don't take care of yourself and really focus on your self-care, then that is being selfish, because you're out of balance and you're not in a position where you can help anybody. So it's so important And I know that a lot of people care for others, and not just the women, but the men too. And they care for others at the expense of their self. So the first thing out of the gate I want to express to you is self-care does not mean selfish. You got that? You with me? Okay, good. So let's keep going here. So resiliency starts with self-care. Now, again, like I just said, if we don't take care of ourselves, how can we care for the community? So when I'm talking about self-care, what I like to do is think of ourselves holistically, and I think of ourselves in mind, body, and spirit. So we have different aspects to us: mind, body, and spirit. And so I'd like to take the opportunity to quote from one of our spiritual leaders. Now, if you haven't read the book, Stand as One, Spiritual Teachings, it's written by Crosland Field Smith, who is one of our amazing spiritual leaders. I pulled out a quote from his book, who I love his book. It says, the mind, the body, and the spirit. You have to pull all three of these together to be a whole person. So your mind, your body, and your spirit. So when we look at self-care, we're really looking at caring for all three of those aspects. So we as individuals can be healthy, whole, and complete. So that's really the foundation of self-care: mind, body, spirit. So what I'm going to do is go through each one of those and talk about what that looks like. So let's first talk about our mind. Now, it's so important to nurture your mind. Keep your mind clear and keep learning. Keep your mind stimulated. Keep your mind free of negative thoughts. So obviously, nobody is going to be able to keep their mind free of negative thoughts all the time, right? All you have to do is watch the news and you hear so much negativity that it starts getting into your brain. But you got to really, let that go and not let those negative thoughts get into your brain. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by watching what you put in your brain, watching what you watch on TV, what you read. And it's also about keeping your mind free of negative emotions. Negative emotions can have an impact on you and others. And what I mean by negative emotions, like being a hater, hating other people, being jealous of other people, being envious of other people, gossiping about other people. Keep your mind free of those negative emotions and negative thoughts. Now, when those thoughts do come into your mind, because we're human, we're having a human experience, and it's going to happen where we have that negativity come into our awareness and our consciousness. You also have to make a conscious decision to let that go, because those negative thoughts can consume you. And if you really get consumed by those negative thoughts, that's when people start getting depressed and anxious. And right now, it's unfortunate that a lot of the young people have a lot of anxiety. Generation Z, and we define Generation Z as being 15 to 25-year-olds, that's Generation Z. And then the millennials are 26 to 40. So the young people, and I'm going to say anybody under 40s, I'm going to put that in a broad category of a younger person, right? These younger people are experiencing so much, anxiety in their lives, and it's unfortunate. And let's face it, we have all experienced anxiety and, over the last year because of the pandemic. A lot of people became afraid, right? Because with the pandemic, in the United States, over 600,000 people have died. And it's still, well, the pandemic's not over, especially in areas like Oklahoma, where it's really, and Los Angeles, where with this variant, it's still affecting people. So I'm going to take a minute and sidetrack, self-care, what that means to me, get vaccinated. Now, I know, unfortunately, being vaccinated has become a political issue. It really shouldn't be political. It's really about responsibility, responsibility to yourself and others. So I am fully vaccinated. As soon as it was available to me, I got vaccinated. And recently, one of my good friends who was also vaccinated came down with COVID. And I actually was exposed to it because I spent, we were on a road trip, so I spent an hour and a half sitting next to her in the car. So I was exposed. She didn't know she was positive yet. I was exposed to that. Well, thank goodness, because of the fact that I was vaccinated, I did not get COVID. I haven't, knock on wood, have not gotten COVID this whole last year and a half. But because she was vaccinated, when she got COVID, she only had minor symptoms. So, it's about taking care of ourselves. And that I know I kind of went on a tangent. I wasn't planning to, but I think it's relevant in terms of the time that we're in right now, is making sure that we are vaccinated and caring for ourselves. So going back to the negative thoughts and the negative emotions, the hate, jealousy, and envy, unchecked negative thoughts can turn into negative actions where you potentially can harm others or yourself. Now, I'm going to share a little bit about the history of Cherokees in the sense of what we believe. We believe that negative thoughts were treated by Cherokee healers with the same medicines as wounds, headaches, or physical illnesses. It was believed that unchecked negative thoughts can permeate that being and manifest themselves into negative actions. So again, that connection between what we think and what we do. So if you're allowing negative thoughts to be in your mind all the time, well, guess what? That is going to result in negative action. So I know it's hard sometimes, like I said, especially when you watch the news, to keep your mind clear, but it is so important. So important to, let that go and release that, which I know it's easier said than done. So, how to keep a positive mind? Well, first of all, I recommend you build a support system. Build a support system. We're a community. Build your support system with family, friends, and the people around you. If you feel supported, you're going to have less likely to, have negative actions. Fill your mind with positive information, not negative information. Always learn, no matter what age you are. Our mind needs to be stimulated in a positive way. Now, at the end of this workshop, I'm going to do some positive affirmations with you. And positive affirmations, in my opinion, are a way that we can start to reprogram our brain with positivity. Because in society, especially, Native Americans, we are stereotyped. Other people look at us a certain way because of their misbeliefs. So because we get so much negativity, it's up to us to really reprogram our brain with positive thoughts and positive affirmations so we start to have that positive mind. So always learn, no matter what age you are. And I learn things by reading, by watching documentaries, by listening to podcasts, watching videos. And I have to say that Cherokee Nation has amazing library of videos. You can watch Cherokee Nation YouTube channel, and they have everything from our history. We have a very rich history, which unfortunately was filled with a lot of trauma as well. I mean, when you look at, Cherokee Nation and our history and the Trail of Tears, that was, trauma. So you can learn about our history, you can learn our language, you can learn about our culture. Also, in addition to Cherokee Nation YouTube channel, OCO TV, and I recommend that if you haven't seen some of the videos they have there, check them out. My favorite is an OCO TV. They have a lot of episodes of Cherokee women. And as we know, Cherokee people, we were a matriarchal society. So women have always played a key role in our society. And so when I watch these episodes on OCO TV about Cherokee women, it just makes me so proud to be a Cherokee woman. Stimulating your mind, learn about, like I just said, our history, our culture, our language. And to keep our mind positive, stay away from gossip and negative discussions. I mean, we've all heard people gossip about other people. But in my opinion, the people that gossip and spend their time with that, it's because they're not happy with themselves. So they feel if they put other people down, it makes them feel better about themselves. The other thing I really recommend is take time to quiet your mind. In our mind, we have so many thoughts. What's going to happen? We think about the past. We think about the future. What's going to happen? What if this happened? For example, like you already mentioned, I live in Los Angeles. So, people are worried about earthquakes. Well, guess what? Earthquakes are part of our reality, but I don't obsess over it. I prepare and make sure I have my readiness kit and have enough water and that type of thing, but I don't obsess over it. I'm not worrying, and we haven't had an earthquake in a while. And the reality is we will. But no matter what part of the United States you live in, you're going to have some kind of, storms or floods or fires or something. So you can't always be obsessed. So sometimes you just got to quiet your mind. Also, you have to let go of your emotional baggage, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but you're getting the idea. Keep your mind positive. So I want to ask you a question. What kind of person do you want to be? Because remember, this is about self-care. So part of self-care is taking a look at yourself. So I want you to take a minute, clear your mind, and I want you to describe yourself in 3 words. Describe yourself in 3 adjectives. Are you intelligent? Are you compassionate? Are you giving? Are you angry? Are you upset all the time? Are you impatient? And again, don't judge yourself, but just ask yourself, you know, what kind of person you are today. Next, it's interesting to see how other people perceive you. So over the next few weeks, ask the people around you to describe yourself, to describe you, and see if your idea of who you are matches the way other people see you. Because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And so ask yourself, is there anything that I need to change in myself to become the person that I want to be? Because guess what? Life is about choices, and we get to choose the type of person that we are today in this world. And it doesn't matter what you've gone through. It doesn't matter your challenges, your trials, your tribulations. What matters is that today we all could press that reset button and make choices to become the person that we want to be. So, part of self care is understanding who you are and who you want to be. So, taking care of the mind is important, and there's many ways to do that, but it's also important to take care of your body. Take care of your body. And there's many ways to do this. First of all, eat healthy, eat a well-balanced diet, stay away from junk food. In terms of a well-balanced diet, make sure that you're getting plenty of fruits and vegetables and, water. We all heard that saying, water is life. Make sure that you're drinking plenty of water because why our bodies are made up of water, so much water that we need to have a lot of water in our body. And it's also to make sure our whole system is functioning properly. Stay away from too much junk food. Now, I know I can't tell everybody to stay away from junk food completely because it's everywhere we go. And, we know our kids want to go to McDonald's and different places, but limit it. If you're going to have junk food in your life, limit it and stay away from too much sugar and soda. If you feel like you want a soda, drink water. So all of that is just so, so out there in society because when we look at TV commercials, they're brainwashing us to think that we need some soda. But is it really good for your body? No, not really. Also limit the alcohol. I mean, I'm not saying don't drink, but if you have a problem with drinking and you drink excessively, maybe you should stop. But alcohol really has a lot of a negative effects on the body as well, in excess, in extreme. I'm not saying if you have a beer or a glass of wine for dinner or whatever, that's okay. But if you're out of balance with alcohol, right? Or the people around you can see if you're out of control with alcohol. Now, try to eat more fresh food and less processed food. And one thing I want to emphasize when we're looking at taking care of our body, that if your body is in pain, pain is not normal. Your body is trying to tell you something. And so if you are in excessive pain, get that checked out. Go to the doctor. I hear so many women say, well, my husband, had a lot of pain, but he doesn't want to go to the doctor. We need to go to the doctor when it's needed because if we don't and we end up in the hospital, that can be worse. And we know unhealthy way of eating can cause high blood pressure, diabetes in our community, Cherokee community. We have a lot of diabetes, a lot of people being overweight. So just, I'm not judging anybody or criticizing anybody. I'm just saying make a conscious decision to take care of your body. And the other part of that is staying active, you know, and that could mean different things to different people. Make sure you're walking. It's simple to walk. Your body needs movement. I like to hike. I like to dance, play sports. I don't play any sports, but play sports if you like that community feel of sports. Um, Work out, swim, ride a bike, whatever works for you. Make sure that you are taking care of your body. It's just like, for example, with a car, right? If you have, well, most of us have cars, and what do you have to do? You have to make sure that you have air in the tires, and you have to make sure that you're getting it tuned up. You have to make sure that you're putting fuel in the car. Well, our bodies are no different. We have to care for them and maintain them as well so we can thrive. So make sure you're taking care of your body. And so I want you to kind of like hug yourself and say, I care for you, body, because we only in this lifetime have one body. So it's so important to care for it. So mind, body, spirit. I want to talk about the spirit for a minute because a lot of people have trouble with this one, right? And so with the spirit, spirit can be used to become one with all creation. So in our Cherokee teachings, we are taught that we are one with all creation. We're one with everyone and everybody from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So when you have that holistic understanding that you are one, that helps you really come in tune with, sorry about that. It helps you really come into the understanding that you have a spirit. So I want to talk about prayer because prayer is very important to get in touch with your spirit. Now, there's a Cherokee prayer, and I actually got this from Cherokee Nation. So we know that many tribes pray in the four cardinal directions: east, north, west, and south. But we also know as Cherokees, we pray in 7 directions. So in addition to the cardinal directions, we pray down, in, and up. And this is a beautiful Cherokee prayer that really prays to the Creator. Now, to feed your spirit, you may get involved in organized religion. You may get involved in different areas. So it's really up to you. So prayer, and for any of those that want this later on, I'm happy to drop this prayer in the chat. So what I recommend is you developing a spiritual practice. And I'm going to ask you to hold that thought for 1 second. I'll be right back. I apologize for that little break. What happened is, I am at home, I work at home, and I have some people that are here working on the house. And so they were making too much noise. So I had to ask them to keep it down. So I apologize for the distraction. But I felt it was more important to tell them to keep it down so you can hear me. So thank you for that. So develop a spiritual practice. Now, what does a spiritual practice look like? Well, the reality is a spiritual practice is different for everyone. Now, you have to find what works for you. So, for example, I love being out in nature. When I'm out in nature, hiking or walking, I can connect to Mother Earth. And we all know that Mother Earth really is the core energy that keeps us all together. Now, again, developing that spiritual practice that works for you, if for you, get connected with the local ceremonial ground. We know that as a part of Cherokee ceremony, having the stomp dance, if that works for you, or just if you're not close to ceremonial grounds, getting connected in a way that works for you. Now, for me, what my spiritual practice looks like every day, it has three components. The first thing, very first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I do my gratitude list. I am grateful. Just like I started this workshop with gratitude, I really start every day with gratitude. And I live in Los Angeles, where we're probably, one of the homeless capitals of the United States. There's so many homeless people. So I start off, well, first of all, I start off and I thank the Creator for just giving me another day. I thank the Creator for, giving me a bed to sleep in, giving me a home. So it's so important to share my gratitude. And for me, I'm grateful to be surrounded by family and friends and even the ancestors because I can feel the ancestors. So I'm grateful for all of that. And when I start my day with gratitude, it gives me that attitude of gratitude that I can take with me for the rest of the day. The second piece of my spiritual practice is prayer. Now, prayer is something that, we all know prayers, but I like to say prayer is talking to the Creator. It's really getting in that quiet space and praying and setting your intentions and talking to the Creator. Now, for me, I use the term Creator, but I also use the term God. I'm not afraid to say the term God. So I pray to God, I pray to the Creator, that understanding that there's a universal consciousness that's much bigger than ourselves, that we're connected. Because, like I said before, we're connected to everything that's ever been, everything that's today, and everything that will be. So praying to that big universal consciousness. Now, the third piece of my spiritual practice is meditate. Now, meditation is really just sitting still and quieting your mind. And because so many people are in their mind all the time and they worry, the reality is most of the things that you worry about never even come to pass. So you want to make sure that you're quieting your mind. Now, for me, meditation is basically I like to go sit outside, close my eyes, and just concentrate on my breathing. Maybe I'll be able to, when I do that early in the morning, I can hear the birds singing. I could, be at one with nature. Now, for those of you that are new to meditation or have never meditated before, I do have a 3-minute, 5-minute, and 10-minute guided meditation that I'm willing to share with you for free. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, that you do want to meditate. So simply all you have to do is go to my website, which is my name, www.cynthiaruiz.com, and you can access those meditations if that's something that you find interesting and you want to learn more about. So that's what my spiritual practice looks like. So when we're talking about, self-care and resiliency, I love this quote again, Woman Man Killer, one of my favorites, one of my sheroes. It says, cows run away from the storm while the buffalo charges towards it and gets through it quicker. Whenever I'm confronted with a tough challenge, I do not prolong the torment. I become the buffalo. So I want each and every one of you to become that buffalo, because when you have challenges, because we all have challenges in life, I don't care where you live, I don't care how old you are, I don't care, whatever. We all have challenges in life. That's just part of life. So her message is when you do have those challenges, take those challenges head on. Don't run away from them. Because when you run away from your challenges, guess what? They're still there. So as Cherokees, our resilienceness, it's about taking our challenges head on. And that's all about self self-care. So I want to talk a little bit about, because self-care and self-resiliency, for us, it's about overcoming trauma. And then the reason I say it's about us overcoming trauma is because if you heard our keynote speaker and the plenary session, they talk about, trauma in like historical trauma. Now, historical trauma is trauma that Cherokees have experienced. We experience nothing less, Native Americans in the United States have experienced nothing less than genocide in this country. And through the Trail of Tears, thousands of our people died. So we have that historical trauma that lives on in our cells and our DNA. So already we have trauma. And then on top of the historical trauma that as Cherokees we experience, we also have personal trauma in our life. Now, the personal trauma is different for everybody, but the personal trauma, maybe you've gone through a divorce, maybe you're dealing with loss. The reality of it in life, there's always going to be somebody that makes their transition. Like I shared with you when we started, my mom, who was a big influence in my life, passed away back in May. And actually I had a good friend, one of my best friends, earlier this year, a day before her 58th birthday, in the middle of the night, got up to go to the bathroom, fell down, hit her head, and passed away. So we're always going to have experience. The longer you live, you're going to experience the trauma of losing somebody. Maybe there's trauma in your life about losing a job. A lot of people during the pandemic got laid off. Maybe you've gotten fired from a job, and the trauma of dealing with COVID. We have all been through a lot during the last year. I personally, for me, dealing with COVID and the pandemic, I live alone. And so 90% of last year, 2020, I was alone. But guess what? I'm lucky I like myself, or I love myself, because I was able to get through the experience pretty easily. But the point is that we all have personal trauma in our life in different ways. So first of all, for self-care and self-resiliency, it's about letting go of your emotional baggage. Now, the question comes up, what is emotional baggage? Well, the way I explain it is that think back when you see a baby. Well, when babies are born, they are pretty simple, right? They cry to let you know if they're hungry or need their diaper changed. Other than that, they're pretty happy. However, as you live your life and you grow up, you have different experiences, some good experiences and some bad experiences. Now, the good experiences create memories. We all have some happy memory in our life, but those negative experiences, and we all have the negative experiences, they create emotional baggage. And emotional baggage shows up as anger, resentment, shame, guilt, insecurities. It creates these emotions from that negative experience. And that's what I like to call our emotional baggage. Nobody's immune to emotional baggage. I don't care where you live. I don't care how much money you have. We all have emotional baggage because we all have negative experiences in our life. The difference is what you do with that emotional baggage. One thing that I want to share with you is the power of forgiveness. Now, forgiveness comes in two different ways. It's forgiving people that have created that emotional baggage, and maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your ex partner or whoever, people around you that you feel you've had a negative experiences, forgive them. But there's also about forgiving yourself. Because guess what? Nobody, nobody is perfect. So we do have stuff that inside that we've created by mistakes, by regrets. But guess what? Once you forgive yourself, you're able to really have that self resiliency. The other thing that holds us back a lot, everybody, is fear. There's a lot of different types of fear. The fear of not fitting in, the fear of being judged, the fear of failure, the fear of success. We walk around with all these fears, and it's important to be able to walk through those fears to have the self resiliency. And everybody's fear may be a little different, but fear is a powerful emotion that stops us from doing so much. So release your fears and stand in your truth. What is your truth? Stand in your truth. And I'm going to share a quick story because I feel like I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable, and I hope that you learn from this. So when I was 17 years old, I was sexually traumatized. I was violently raped. And that experience obviously it was a traumatic experience. And I didn't report it to the police because in my community, we didn't even trust the police. So I buried it. And I can look back now in my life and see how it impacted my life. It left me with a feeling of not feeling safe. So what did I do when I got to college? I, had a boyfriend and got married very young because I thought that was going to make me feel safe. So we have experiences that have impacts in our life. And the reason I share that with you, because in the Native community, statistically, 50%, one out of every two Native women will either be sexually traumatized or physically abused. And that's pretty sad when you really think about it. One out of every two. So we as women experience, and sexual trauma is not just limited to women. Men experience that too. But the reason I share and reason I'm becoming vulnerable with you is because part of resiliency is overcoming that trauma, whatever your trauma is. It's overcoming that trauma so you could be healthy, whole, and complete. And that is really key in self-care and self-resiliency. So let's see how we're doing on time here. We have 10 minutes. I have a little bit more content that I want to cover, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop for a minute and I am going to answer any questions. So if you have any questions or comments about what I've covered so far, now is the time to ask the question or share your thoughts with me. So anybody out there, now's the time to ask me questions. Anybody? Any brave souls out there? Okay, so if not, I can keep going with my content. Last call. Any questions or comments? Okay, so I don't see any, so I'm going to keep going. We have about 10 more minutes. So again, I'm emphasizing self-care is the key to self-resiliency. So I also want to share a few lessons with you that can help you, develop that self-care and be self-resilient. So I had the opportunity to write a book with my co-author, Abraham Bearpaw. Many of you may know Abraham. And we wrote a book, co-authored a book called Cherokee Wisdom, 12 Lessons for Becoming a Powerful Leader. And I just want to say, this is not my original content. This was content that I got from Cherokee Nation many years ago, but it's lessons that are shared, and they're called 12 attributes of leadership. So we can make sure that we are living our best lives, our best Cherokee life. And the first one is be humble. Be humble. Never boast or think that you're better than anybody else, because we are all created equal, just like we're all connected. We're, just I mentioned, we're all connected to everything that has been yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We are all created equal. So be humble. Like, I have had a lot of, important job titles in my life, commissioner, a president, all CEO. But guess what? I don't let those job titles define me. I just realize that I have a lot of responsibility with those job titles. Doesn't make me better than anyone else. Um, and the next part of this, because everything has a duality, is be confident. Have confidence in yourself. Do not doubt your abilities, but temper it with humility. So a lot of people think that if you're humble, that you're weak, or that if you're confident, you're not humble. So I'm here to say that you can be humble and confident at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive. So, as a part of self care, it's yes, being confident in your skills, because everybody has skills. I don't care who you are, but nobody's good at everything either. So, having confidence in yourself and your abilities, but tempering that with humility. So, those are some thoughts I wanted to share. And in terms of the lessons, let me share a few more. And I also want to encourage you to be strong. Be strong in whatever you do, and take comfort in the strength of the Creator and of your ancestors. Where I started today, I talked about how our ancestors have been such resilient people. And guess what? Just like we have that historical trauma that we've received from them, we also have the resiliency to be the thriving people that we are today. As you've heard from Chief Hoskin, that, we're 400,000 strong. We're the largest tribe in the United States. And strength is making sure that, we persevere and keep going. We all have that strength within us. The next thing I want to talk about is be determined. Determined and persistent means never giving up. Sometimes when we maybe go after the job we want, it's not easy. But you know what? You have to believe in yourself and keep going. I like to tell people that anything is possible. Anything is possible in life. And I'm proof that I'm living proof that anything is possible. Because think about it. Where I started, my parents divorced when I was 7 years old. And at that time, my mom got on welfare. So, and I remember as a young girl being 7 years old, going with her to the market and her paying with food stamps. And I was so embarrassed. But that left a big impression on me, right? And so, starting off at a point where we were on welfare, and now fast forward to today, I shared with you that I'm president of the City of Los Angeles Pension Board, overseeing $23 billion worth of investments. That's because I never gave up. I persevered. Was it easy? No. I mentioned I was the first person in my family to go to college. My parents didn't have money to help me with college. I had to figure it out on my own. I worked, actually 3 jobs, and got financial assistance and got loans. I did whatever I could because I knew that by getting my education and college degree, that would change the trajectory of my life, not only for me, but my family. And fast forward, my son, I have one son, he went to college as well. But as hard as it was, I was determined to get that education. And thank goodness, out of my determination, I was able to get my college degree by the time I was 23. So, but I persevered through it. I also think it's important to communicate. We have to communicate. Nobody's mind readers. You have to communicate and cooperate. We have to help each other. We have to help our community. So I mentioned earlier about self-care and changing those negative thoughts into positive thoughts. So I'm going to ask you to try this with me. So I want everybody to sit up tall, take in a deep breath. And when you breathe in positivity. And when you breathe out, release all that negativity, all those negative thoughts, all that worry, all that anxiety. And we're going to do some positive affirmations. I know this may feel a little awkward for some people, but just try it with me, okay? So again, we're sitting up tall, and I want you to repeat after me. I am resilient. Okay, you guys can do better than that. I am resilient. Yes, you are resilient. I am the buffalo. I am the buffalo. And remember, the buffalo charges into the storm and doesn't run away from it. So as you have these challenges in your life, take them head on. You'll get through them quicker than running away. I am here to serve my people. I am here to serve my people. And then the last one, I want you to sit up tall, feel your strength. I am a proud Cherokee. Let's all do that one together again and declare it. I am a proud Cherokee. All right, give yourself a round of applause. Yay. And so, as we're getting ready to close this session out, I just want to again express my gratitude for you participating. My gratitude again, if you're with me live, I feel you. And if you're watching this after virtually, shout out to you guys. Now, I want to keep in touch with you guys. So here is my website. Again, my website is www.cynthiamruiz.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. My book with my co-author Abraham Bearpaw is available on Amazon.com. And my email, in case you want to reach out to me, is cynthia@cynthiamruiz.com. And I see that Savannah has joined us. Savannah, what you got for us?
Hey, everybody. Cynthia, that was a great job. So if y'all have any questions, I don't know if you're able to view the chat, but just put your questions here for Cynthia. I will read them out to her and she will be happy to answer them.
Okay, so Savannah, you're with us. You ask me a question. We have 1 minute. Ask me anything you want.
Oh my gosh. When you and Abraham worked together on this book, The Cherokee Wisdom, how long did it take you guys to come up with those 12 lessons for becoming a powerful leader?
Well, thank you for that question. And first of all, like I said, it's not original content. It's concepts that I got directly from Cherokee Nation. And of course, I asked permission from the principal chief at that time. Because originally I did the book by myself, and then fast forward, the reason the second edition is with Abraham, because I want to not just talk the talk, walk the walk. And I felt it was important to have the male perspective, because Cherokees are all about harmony and balance, I felt having that male perspective would help the readers get those two perspectives in harmony. So to write the book, it took a while. I want to say initially it took me months, but for the second edition, it was a lot quicker. And bringing on Abraham, I think it probably took us about a month. The second edition has now been out a year. We just celebrated our year anniversary, and we've gotten so much positive feedback. People are thank you. And even if you're not Cherokee, it's basic information, and it's really sharing our Cherokee values and what we believe are attributes of leadership that I think everybody could benefit from. So thank you for that question. And
Yeah.
guess what? It is 9:30, so I feel like we're coming to an end. So I just want everybody to sit in your space and absorb all this information. And Savannah, I just want to express my gratitude to you, because what people don't know, this woman has been working her booty off for a long time to bring this together. And, as one Cherokee woman to another, sister, I just want to say, I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words.